Welcome to Inspiration and Transformation from the Banks of the Ganga with Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati, an American sannyasi living at the Parmarth Niketan Ashram in Rishikesh, India. Sadhvi is president of the Divine Shakti Foundation, a charitable organization bringing education, vocational training, upliftment, and empowerment programs to women and children. Sadhvi is also Secretary General of the Global Interfaith Wash Alliance and Director of the world-famous International Yoga Festival. Join the musings of an American sannyasi as Sadhvi shares the wisdom and teachings of her guru, His Holiness Pujya Swami Chidanand Saraswatiji.
Welcome everyone to Inspiration and Transformation from the holy banks of the sacred Ganga River in the land of Rishikesh, India. How does Seva, selfless service, help me to feel more fulfilled and free in my life? Many ways. There's a reason that Seva is said to be one of the most direct, clearest, simplest paths to the divine. What Seva does is it purifies our vision. Look, the divine is within us. The truth of who we are is within us. That love, that truth, that divinity, it is who we are. It's the core of who we are. And yet we can't see it, which is why we suffer. We suffer in ignorance of thinking that we're this body, we're these roles, we're these identities. Out of that ignorance comes anger and ego and lust and greed and all of that ends up leading us into deeper and deeper suffering. And that makes us bring suffering to others, right? If I'm suffering on the inside, what am I going to share? I'm going to share suffering. Seva is a purification of the mind. It's a purification of that awareness of ourself. And so, as we serve, our vision gets clearer. Because some of us think when we serve, oh, I'm the one who has so much and I'm serving those who don't. That we are the givers, they are the receivers, we are the philanthropists, etc. But real seva is not about us serving them. Real seva is the opportunity that others are giving us to see ourselves in them. So when we serve, it's not me serving you. It's not I have, you don't. So I'm giving. It's you are giving me the opportunity to experience the truth of who I am through you, through service of you. So that's where it cleans our windshield. And it cleans our windows. Seva is the great purifier of our mind and of our ego. Also because, of course, it's not working for ourselves. Most of us are used to whatever we do, we're doing it for ourselves. Either to make money for ourselves, to make money for our children, to get myself higher and higher on a career ladder, on a social ladder, on a popularity ladder, on a beauty ladder, whatever it might be, to go higher and higher. In Seva, we're not working for the self. We're working for others. And yet, beyond that is to not even see the others as others, but to see the others as an expansion of the self. When I do that, then my whole awareness of who I am shifts. And this is why a lot of places actually have Seva tasks given as those that are the most humbling. In some cases, they seem like the most demeaning. You're cleaning someone else's toilet. You're on your hands and knees scrubbing the floor. People with advanced degrees coming and literally cleaning poop, cleaning the floors, doing other sorts of manual labor. And that's done because there's no way around the humility that you experience, no matter who you may think you are, when you're cleaning someone else's toilet. It's very hard to keep feeling like, oh, I'm really something. Don't you know who I am? Yeah, I'm the toilet cleaner. So all of that literally bows down. So that's one element of it. It's a great humbler. And even in places, for example, like here, where we're not putting people on the job of cleaning toilets or scrubbing the floors, nonetheless, it's still a matter of doing not what you decide I want to do today, what's going to be, on my list, but it's a matter of what is needed, what is in service. Not, don't you know who I am? A lot of people ask me sometimes, they'll say, so what exactly do you do here? Like, what exactly is your role? And it's always a sweet question because I try to avoid roles at all costs. So the more you try to avoid something, the more people come and are like, so what is your role? And what I've realized over the years is my role, and not just mine, but all of ours in Seva. The role is to share and spread love and peace. Right? When you think that your role is you are the teacher, or you are the leader, or you are the doctor, or you are the driver, whatever role you think, this is what I do, then you're stuck. Because then you've identified the who you are with the what you are doing at this present moment, in this particular scene of this particular act of the divine drama. And this is where it's so critical to realize now, what I am is a sharer and spreader of love and peace. Just for a moment, we're going to have to ask everyone to please put your masks on fully, if you can. We're now in a close situation, so just if people can keep the masks on. Thank you so much. And again, sorry for that. We pray that soon it no longer will be a requirement, but it seems these days it's getting more of a need rather than less of a need. So we recognize, okay, at this moment, my role in this drama, this scene of this act of the divine God's drama, what we call a Leela, is I'm the one through whom this is happening, or that is happening, or this is happening. But whatever is needed at the moment, I do it. You know, I think, for example, one of the beautiful sevas that the ashram does is we run free medical camps. Eye care camps, orthopedic camps, pediatric camps, depending on which doctors we have who are excited to be providing seva. And I think sometimes, you know, well, let's say that one day somebody came in to register his mom or his grandmother or his child for the medical camp. But at the exact moment that the guy wandered into the reception, no one was there. And so accidentally, or just kind of looking for the right place to go, he wanders into my office. Now, if I were stuck, I would say, oh, you know, what I do, I give spiritual discourses. I give satsang. I teach meditation. Sit here, I'll teach you to meditate. Or I'll give you a lecture. But what this guy needs, maybe he's just traveled for 3 days from some other part of the country, you know, part of the way on a bullock cart, part of the way walking, part of the way jammed in, you know, an auto rickshaw or a jeep, who knows? Because his mom needs treatment and we're offering it for free and he can't afford it any other way. But he hasn't had a shower and he hasn't had a meal and he hasn't slept in 3 days. So it would be ridiculous, bordering on criminal, for me to sit the guy down and try to give him some spiritual inspiration or some motivation or to teach him to meditate. What the guy needs is a room and a bath and a hot meal and to get his mom registered for the medical camp. And only then, after that, would it make sense to say, you know, by the way, we also have this beautiful Ganga Arti. We also have Satsang. We also have meditation and yoga. But first things first. But you see where, if I were stuck, I would be unable to attend to what was needed in the moment. What's needed is for me to pick up the phone and get on the phone with whoever is taking registrations for the camp and to say, hey, I've got someone in my office, can you come and register him? Then to call someone in a different office and to say, hey, you know, I've got a guy in my office who needs a room. Can you take care of him? And so what Seva does, when we're able to see it like that, when we're able to see it as just whatever is needed, let me be the vehicle, let me be the instrument, the tool of service, of sharing love, of peace, of divine flow. Then I'm not stuck. Then it's not what I do. Otherwise it's like, as they say, you know, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, so if you're a spiritual teacher, then suddenly everyone is a student. But sometimes, more than being a student, someone's a patient. And they need medical care more than they need motivation or inspiration or guidance or vision. And to not be blind to that because we are so stuck in what we think we do. Or, oh, you know, I manage accounts, let's say. Or I manage reservations, let's say. Okay, well, what about when someone has slipped and fallen and they're injured? And what they need is ice, or they need a doctor. or when someone is hungry and they need a hot meal. The point of Seva is we do everything, whatever's needed. And that's where that ego gets purified. And that's why Seva is seen as spiritual practice. Volunteer work is something that's very beautiful to do. All over the world, people volunteer. And we should. But the difference between volunteer work and Seva is volunteer work is much more rooted in the who I'm taking care of. It's children, it's animals, it's sick people, it's the dolphins, it's the whales, it's the trees. Whereas Seva is rooted in my spiritual practice. And when I serve, who I am changes. Volunteer work is great. We should do it. But if you can do Seva, if you can do that volunteering as Seva, make it about your spiritual practice rather than about what you are doing for others. Otherwise, the ego gets very stuck. I'm the doer. I'm the one fixing people. I'm the doctor. I'm the surgeon. I'm the this. I'm the that. Then it's all about me. They're helped. That's great. That's why I say we should do it anyway. But I haven't grown spiritually. Seva is something that does both. It helps others. But I grow spiritually through it. And that's where it's a very, very powerful spiritual practice. Because it clears that windshield between us and the truth of who we are. Between us and that capital S self, which includes all. So when I'm connected to the capital S self, I'm not serving others, I'm serving myself, my capital S self. The children who are hungry, the people who are sick, the trees being cut down, the rivers being polluted. They are me. And just as when I'm hungry I eat, or I'm thirsty I drink, or my knee itches I scratch it, in the same way, I'm serving them as self. And we serve ourselves in so many ways. There's so many ways to take care of my physical body. In the same way, there's an unlimited number of ways that we are serving that capital S self in the form of all of those around us. And that's what Seva gives us, that gift of experiencing the extended, expanded sense of self.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Alaya, in the circle on Sunday 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Hi, this is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Every 2 minutes, another American is sexually assaulted. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, you are not alone. Help is just a call or click away through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Please call 1-800-656-HOPE, that's HOPE, or visit rain.org, that's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
Welcome back to Inspiration and Transformation, I'm so glad to have you all back here with me.
Beautiful. Learning and unlearning. Well, first we need to unlearn. The dilemma with learning before we unlearn is that I'm just sticking more and more stuff on top of that which is not self. Now, sometimes learning helps me unlearn, like light dispels the darkness. So sometimes if there's darkness, more than pushing out the darkness, what you need is just to light a candle. And in the same way, sometimes, in order to unlearn, in order to remove ignorance, all we need is light and wisdom. I think about it very much as in, say you come home from office, or from whatever you do in the day, and you're stressed and you're tired, and you decide you're going to go for a bath. Okay? Now, in order to make that bath something that's very relaxing, that actually relaxes the body, well, first you've got to take all your clothes off, right? If you get into that bathtub with all your clothes on, it's not going to feel very relaxing, right? The minute your wool sweater gets full of water and your shoes are full of water and your tie is full of water, you're not going to be relaxed. You're going to feel like you're suffocating. So in order for that bath to be relaxing, you need to get naked. On a deeper level, in order for us to experience that truth of who we are, that on a spiritual level, we have to let go of that which isn't self. Like I have to take the clothes that are covering my naked body off in order to experience the benefit of the bath. I have to take off these false identities, take off the ignorance, take off the illusion in order to experience the truth. And that's how when we talk about enlightenment, well, it's the light that burns through the darkness of ignorance. So I have unlearned the ignorance. Say I move through the world thinking who I am is this body. So you say to me, who are you? And I say, well, I'm Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati, and I'm 50 years old, and I'm a sannyasi. I'm from the United States originally, but I have lived in India 25 years, and I'm the author of these books, and I'm this role in this organization, or this role in that organization. Well, that's ignorance. Okay? All of it. That's just the description of the role that I'm playing at this intersection of time and space. It's like when actors or actresses get given roles. They talk about the treatment of a character, right? So if I'm going to play a role, the director or the producer or the writer will give me a short write-up. This is your character. They're this many years old. They come from this place. They have this many brothers or sisters. These are their problems. So that I know, oh, okay, so my character has an anger problem. So I understand when I come on that stage, I should be kind of angry. But that isn't the truth of who I am. That's just kind of a made-up treatment of a character that I'm playing. A role that I'm playing on this particular stage. Maybe last week I played a different character on a different stage. So my character is all those things I told you. But that isn't who I am. And the moment that I actually have an experience of who I am, through meditation, through grace, through prayer, well, suddenly all of that illusion, it fizzles away. You realize, oh, that's not who I am. So you unlearn that which you had learned as you begin to learn something new. That's on the very deepest level of learning about the self. But it also happens on other levels, just as we are moving through our world. So for example, I had spent most of my life thinking that really everything was kind of about me. That it was really just all about me and, what grades I would get in school and how I would do on this team, or whether I would get elected, this in school, or get that post, or who my friends were, or what college I was going to get into, or what my troubles were, what my struggles were. I thought it was all about me. And then when I came to India and I had this very powerful spiritual transformative experience, and I started to live here under the grace of my guru, Puja Swamiji, I realized, oh my God, it's not actually all about me. It's actually all about how much I can serve. As he says, not asking what for me, but asking what through me. So it's an unlearning of a way that I have always lived, had always thought things should be. And then a relearning of, wow, real joy. I had thought I was happy because I had the things that one needed to be happy. But what I realized here was, oh my God, I wasn't really happy. Because now I've learned what real happiness is. I've experienced it. And that it doesn't come from having those things, but that it comes from being connected to the divine. So we unlearn that which is untruth. And sometimes, of course, it can happen through books, but it's much more powerful when it happens in experience. But inspiring books help put us on the right path. They show us the way. But ultimately that knowledge for which I don't have the actual experience isn't going to serve me nearly as well as that which I experience myself. So I remember, tell you a personal story about this. I remember the very first time I was in Puja Swamiji's presence. Now, I was born and raised in the Jewish tradition. And in the Jewish tradition, in the Christian tradition, it's believed that Jesus Christ is an embodiment of God, right? The Son of God, but then, of course, the Son of God, but then he says, my Father and I are one. So, embodiment, son of, either way. In the Jewish tradition, we don't actually believe that God is manifest in form, any form. And in fact, the idea of worshiping the divine in form is considered sacrilegious. And I was 25, I wasn't even religious, I had never questioned these things. Is that okay? When I was in Puja Swamiji's presence the first time, I was so aware that I was in the presence of a being who was qualitatively different than any being in whose presence I had ever been. And that difference was that I felt like I was sitting in the presence of the divine. And of course, in that presence of the divine, in Puja Swamiji's presence, that was an experience. Now, the truth of that experience was much more powerful than what I had been taught. And it was a very transformational moment for me because I realized, oh my God, I'm having an experience that goes completely against what I was taught, what I believed, which means maybe it's only a matter of time before everything I've ever been taught I have an experience that makes me realize isn't true. And it was such a beautiful moment because what it did was it actually wiped my entire slate clean. They talk about tabula rasa, this clean slate. And I really was that, just automatically. I realized, my God, here I've learned all of this. And then yet, here I am having an experience that is the exact opposite of what I had learned. So it was like in a moment I unlearned it. And in that unlearning, I became this empty vessel to suddenly then start to learn about the presence of God on earth. So yeah, unlearning and then learning are critical. Otherwise we're stuck.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation.
Let's say that I wanted to carry water, okay? A bucket of water from the ground to the rooftop. Okay, not by hand, not I'm going to pick it up and carry it, but I wanted somehow that water to reach from the ground to the roof. Okay? I would have to devise some kind of engineering feat, right? We have them. It's what enables people on the top floors of buildings to get running water. But there's a whole engineering machine behind it. Okay? I'm not an engineer, I don't know exactly how it works, but presumably they've got some kind of pumps that are pumping the water up, right? Requires probably some level of electricity and a whole machinery going to get the water up. But if you've got a bucket of water on the top of the roof and you want it to come down, what do you have to do? Just let go of it. Right? You don't have to actually do anything. You just have to stop pumping it up or let go of it if you're holding it. And automatically that water is going to come down. To bring it up takes a lot of energy and a lot of work and a lot of innovations and entrepreneurship and inventions over the last, couple of centuries. But to get water to go from the top down takes nothing. It happens automatically. Sadly, the mind is very similar. It has a tendency, much like water, to just go, and it just, if you're not aware of it, it just, it's the nature of the mind. However, the more you bring it up, unlike water, it seems to develop in some way, almost as though its density changes, such that it becomes a lot easier to keep up. It seems to weigh a lot less somehow. And even if you let go, it doesn't necessarily fall down. Or if it falls, it doesn't fall all the way or not so quickly. And the more you bring it up, it seems like it keeps getting more and more habituated to being up. And again, its density seems to change. And it starts to stay up. That's the benefit of the mind over a bucket of water. If you bring that bucket of water up 10 billion times, it's going to come down just as fast on the 10 billionth and one time as it did on the first time. But the mind gets habituated, slowly. But recognize that falling back is the nature of the mind. It's not your fault. It's not that you're not a good sadhak. Because that's how a lot of us think, oh my God, I've been meditating, I've been praying, I've been doing my scriptural reading, I've been doing my sadhana, and still I had this thought or I had that reaction. When those happen, I was just talking about this earlier today, when this happens, just bow to the humanness within you. Just bow to that very human mind that's heading down. Bow to it. Thank you for reminding me I'm human. But now, we're going to go back up. And as you have those thoughts or those reactions, make sure not to identify as them. This is the key, is I'm meditating, and then I have this thought of anger, let's say. Or a thought of jealousy, or of greed, or of lust, or whatever it might be. Now, instead of just noticing it, or I react to something in my life, somebody sends me a text message or an email or says something and I react in a non-spiritual way. Instead instead of getting my whole identity drama hooked into that, whether it's a thought, whether it's a reaction, the moment you notice it, the moment you notice that you are going down, just stop. And bring the awareness back to the truth of who you are. Don't identify with it. Don't get yourself wrapped up more and more in that drama. We bow. I'm still human. And then we disengage. Disengage the identification. I am not the one having this reaction. I am not the one having this thought. I am the one aware of the reaction. I am the one aware of the thought. And you just come back to I am the one who is aware. I am the one who is aware. I am the one who is aware. And yeah, sometimes thoughts of anger or greed or lust arise. Sometimes thoughts of God and divinity arise. And they're all just thoughts. I'm not any of them. I'm the one aware of them. Slowly, 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 you'll find that those thoughts that pull you down come much less frequently, and that you catch them much more quickly. You'll be like halfway into a thought, and then you know, oh, I know where this is going. And you'll come back. I am the one aware.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Like Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. Please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation.
I would go a little bit broader, though. So you've given 2 points. You've said living in the present. Living in the present is absolutely required in order to live in joy. Because you can't actually be happy yesterday. You can't be happy tomorrow. If I'm really going to be in joy, I have to be right here, right now. If I'm off in next week, even if I'm dreaming of a beautiful next week, that's not joy. It's a desire, it's an expectation, it's an attachment, it's a daydream, it's whatever you want to call it. But it's not actual joy. And if I'm remembering something from last week that was really nice, well, again, it's not joy of this moment. It's a story, a memory. It's an association in my mind that brings me a moment of happiness when I can hold it in my memory. But real joy, I have to be in the present. Real peace, I have to be in the present. So I think of living in the present as a means to an end, meaning whatever I really want to experience or achieve on a spiritual path, I have to be in the present. It can't be awakened next week. It's got to happen right now. Or if it does happen next week, that's beautiful, but you're not going to benefit from it today. In this moment, you're only able to experience that which is happening right here in this moment. This breath. So absolutely, living in the present is critical. But I would call that the field, the ground, the foundation upon which everything else is built. Like the soil out of which everything else blossoms. And then you said being conscious as we execute our activities. So being present, being conscious, absolutely. But when we speak about consciousness, it's important that we are conscious not only of what we are doing, but of who we are that is doing them. So I can very consciously lift up this glass of water. I can very consciously take this off, consciously allow it to drip on me. Consciously lift it to my lips. Consciously swallow, right? I've been very conscious. My mind did not wander even once. But that doesn't necessarily mean that while I was drinking that sip of water, I was also aware of who I am as the one who is conscious. And so I would expand it to say, consciousness of who we are. There's a beautiful meditative practice of mindfulness, an entire meditative school of mindfulness, of awareness-based meditation that's rooted in just this aspect of awareness as that which doesn't change. What I'm aware of changes, so I'm aware of drinking water, or aware of walking, or aware of an itchy knee that now I'm scratching. So what I'm aware of varies, but awareness does not. And when we can anchor ourselves in awareness as awareness, that's a very deep and very powerful and very beautiful meditative experience, both for eyes closed meditation as well as for living meditation in the world. On a spiritual level, where we talk about awakening and enlightenment, divinity, that expands. And it expands into what is that awareness? Right? What is that? We say, okay, awareness doesn't change, but so what is that then? What is that doesn't change? Now, on a scientific level, I can say, well, you're only aware because your brain is functioning, right? And neurologically, we can say, okay, these are the parts of your brain that are required for awareness. These are the neural pathways that get activated when you are being aware in this way. There's been a lot of scientific research around mindfulness-based meditation. We know a lot of what's happening in the brain. The question then becomes, okay, well, so does the brain create awareness? If there were no brain, what happens to awareness? Right? And I'm just throwing out these sort of rhetorical questions because where I'm going is that we have to look at what is that awareness. And if it's not just a product of my brain, then what is it? And if it doesn't change, and it's not a product of my physical body, my physical brain, then what is that? Or who am I? Right? Because if I'm the one who's aware, who is that? Who is that I? That even if I were brain dead would still exist. And that truth of who you are is the truth that we're trying to get at. Because that gives you some beautiful vision into really who you are, which is aware. You are aware, but you are more than just awareness. The sum total of who you are is more than awareness. It is aware, but it's more than just neurologic awareness of certain parts of my brain. So who is that? And that same being that is aware even if I'm brain dead, or that exists even if I'm not able to be consciously aware, let's say. Clarity on that deep question that Gyan Yoga is rooted in, who am I? That's when we talk about the true self. Who is that? Well, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gives us beautiful guidance of what that is. He explains it to Arjuna. That soul that isn't born, that doesn't die, right? Can't be burned by fire, can't be cut by knives, can't be wet with water, dried by the wind. What is that? So I would expand. What you've said is absolutely right. I would just allow yourself to also expand. Because when I'm being conscious as I'm executing things, ask yourself, who is conscious? How do I know I'm conscious? Who knows I'm conscious? And where is that consciousness? Just in my frontal lobe? Right? Where is it? And those questions give you a much deeper experience of the truth of who you are.
This brings to a close this hour of inspiration and transformation. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad to be together with you all each week, and I look forward to being together again next Thursday, same time, on OMTimes Radio.